Hi guys, it's Jessica Stone at Stansberry Research, and I've got our international editor Kim Iskyan on the line, all the way from Ireland. We're talking about the elections, which of course are coming up in just 2 months now from now. And Kim, we've got the conventions going on. I want to ask you what the international reaction has been to the idea of a possible change in administration here in the United States.
Well, Jessica, I think it's not news to say that Donald Trump is not very popular internationally. A lot of other countries view him as, to put it delicately, anti-cosmopolitan. A lot of his government's policies have been so much America first to the detriment of other places. And compared to a Joe Biden, who's, an internationalist at heart, has been part of government for so long, to a lot of people, that's a bad thing. But to other politicians around the world, to have a counterpart who actually has made a career out of playing well with others at the sandbox would be an enormous relief. And then on top of that, you have Kamala Harris, who is, she comes from such a diverse background, and she's so much more representative of kind of the United States today. And in that sense, also the rest of the world says, wow, okay, so this is the United States that we had before, that we kind of understand a little bit better. So I think there would be a pretty positive reaction around the world to a change in government and to the sorts of policies that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would bring.
One of the things we're all going through, obviously, is the global recovery from the pandemic, from an economic perspective. And the comparisons are pretty stark. We had a lot of international cooperation 10 years ago during the last global recession. This time, it's very much every country for his or herself. Obviously, there has to be some thought in Europe in particular that would change under a Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, very much so. I think everything from the Paris climate deal to the WHO to how the United Nations is treated, and certainly to handling the coronavirus and also the economic stimulus to help bring the global economy back on track, there would be just a lot more global coordination, discussion, conversation about that. And I think it would make the world a less conflictual place, a more productive place with those sorts of measures. And I think, some people might say, well, what about American interests? I think American interests ultimately will wind up being advanced farther by the United States playing a bigger role with other countries in the world in advancing these sorts of policies.
We have a big economic focus going on in this election. What are your thoughts about the relationship of the election to the stock market, and what stocks and areas of industry stand to benefit with a change in administration?
I think that there is some perception that a Democratic government would be worse for the stock market. History has shown us that actually the stock market has done better under Democratic administrations and Republican administrations. There might be a tax hike in the works, and that would be kind of like the tax cut was. It's a one-off. I think that the sort of the stability and predictability of government would be so much welcomed by investors. Just the sort of volatility that a government, you're never quite sure what's coming next. That has been a constant overhang. But I think all of that pales in comparison to just the flood of liquidity that we've seen from the Fed that has pushed markets up so much. And that's not going to end anytime soon. That's going to be pretty much the same under Democratic administration as Republican administration. In terms of sectors, I think we can really expect the renewables and clean energy and anything green to just do so much better in a Democratic administration. Then on the flip side of that, on the energy front, oil and coal, which have not exactly thrived in recent years, but they've been slowly on their way out. And I think that will be accelerated with a Democratic government.
Any other sectors that you would recommend to investors to be looking at as they consider how to move around assets and investments pending the election results?
I think when we look at international policy as well as international stocks, I don't think anything much will change with China. I think it's pretty much the consensus that China needs to be kept in its place, and that's not going to change. I think if anything, Europe is certainly perceived to be on a rebound of sorts. Its reaction to the coronavirus was much more unified than it took a while, but much more unified than a lot of people thought it would. And with greater cooperation with the United States, we may well see the euro and European stocks coming back into favor, at least in a modest sense. They've underperformed enormously in recent years, and if I think a lot of European markets will probably do quite well in coming years.
All right, some global stocks and industries to watch with a potential change in administration. Thanks so much, Kim Iskyan, for coming in and giving us your thoughts on that. And if you'd like to be connected directly to Kim's writing, please hover on your screen right now and you'll be connected to him and a lot of his American Consequences writing. Also, please follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks so much for watching. That's all for now.